people who challenge and inspire you. Spend a lot of time with them and it will change your life.
Beyond the court, sabelana ngolwazi, they share ideas. Sithukudinga ijalo jab, sithini story sakho, usitshela uqhamuka to introduce yourself.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beyond the Court Podcast, where we share inspiring stories from our participants, our coaches, our staff, just hearing their stories and who they are. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to PeacePlayers South Africa Beyond the Court Podcast, where we have conversations with our participants, our staff, our partners, our alumni, our coaches, and other guests that are friends of Peace Players, getting a deeper insight in who they are and sharing their stories in their own perspective through meaningful conversations. So this Youth Month, we are sharing the spotlight on an incredible, talented, and potential of young basketball players in South Africa. Today we are joined by none other than Umfana Ntombela, also known as Guava. Why I say also known is because he is really known. He is the 2024 basketball national champions with the KwaZulu-Natal Marlins, who is passionate about developing young basketball in his province. So we'll be discussing initiative, challenges, opportunities for growth, as we'll be exploring ways to support and empower young players to reach their full potential. So I know I've given you the ones and two on who he is, but for me, I'd like my guests to explain themselves, my guests to introduce themselves, my guests to put them out there on the table. So Guava, welcome to the podcast. Very nice having you. But I am going to throw you there. Who is Umfana Ntombela? Who is Guava?
Okay, let me just say, Umfana is a township kid, grown up to be a young professional gentleman that loves the game of basketball, but not just basketball itself, but every sport actually. I've always had the passion of not being in the spotlight, but always working behind the scenes to help kids actually be the best, to like make their mark and not be held by peer pressure, negativity, and all the stuff that happens in the townships that that holds kids accountable for not being successful. Yeah, so I've always wanted to just be a helping hand, So that's basically Umfana.
It's good to know Umfana. So now let's know Guava. But we'll know who Guava is through our icebreaker. So here at Peace Players, whether we are on the court, whether we're off the court, it is always a must to break the ice. So we have our this and that icebreaker. This is a basketball edition. So Guava, I'll ask you a set of questions, this or that, and if you'd like to explain why you picked that certain option. All right. So the first one is to win the USSA as a coach or win other BNL trophies as a player.
To win another was a coach of the tournament or just the championship. Love coaching.
You love coaching.
Yeah.
So you definitely win as a coach. All right. LeBron James or Michael Jordan?
Definitely LeBron James.
Why?
Team player.
Okay.
Always makes the right decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're indirectly saying Michael isn't the team player.
LeBron James
all the way. To win ABA with the Mlazi Blazers or to win Kersney tournament with Kersney as a hosting team.
Okay. To win a Kersney tournament as a hosting team, I think that would actually upgrade my coaching career. So yeah.
So definitely that one. All right. Moving on to the next one. Okay. 1 year as a Marlins men assistant coach or 2 hours with your favorite NBA coach.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we know. We definitely do that to our guest.
So currently I'm the assistant coach of the Marlins now.
Okay.
Yeah,
whoa.
So just came up
snap.
So yeah, 1 year as assistant coach of the Marlins. Other things can wait.
Definitely.
I'm all about growth.
We're all about growth, and congratulations on that. Last but not least, EMBA League or Salga Games?
Salga Games.
Why Salga Games?
For me, it's just I don't know, putting a smile on kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see you're more of youth development in township, because just speak through the this and that part. You pick Salga Games because you wanted to give the kids an opportunity. So it's all about the kids. So which drives us straight into our conversation. Okay, so what initiatives are currently in place to support youth development in township through basketball?
Look, in township basketball, it's mainly about focusing more on helping kids understand, not just in a sports way, but also a way of life. You know, I always speak growth, I always speak life into kids, and my take is to help the next generation be better than me, or be better than the guy that came before us. So yeah, so basically, yeah, it's about just that. It's mostly growth for townships, not just township, but every kid that needs help. I think every kid's needs help. So it's the main focus on making that 13-year-old, 14-year-old understand that there's better things out there, and not to be all shy and stuff, being under pressure because of what he or she does have or does not have. So yeah.
Okay, so now since you've mentioned that it's to help a lot of kids in township just develop themselves, know who they are, and grow. So how can basketball programs help bridge this gap between township schools and affluent schools? Because you did speak about it's not only about township schools, it's about everyone. So what kind of programs do you think should be put in place, or how can the programs that are already in place help bridge that gap between these two?
Look, from being part of PeacePlayers when I was growing up, it really helped me understand that I shouldn't focus on one place, be closed up in one place. There's so much culture, there's so much religion out there, and we get together as kids, and we come from different households, and you learn about what the other kid does at home and how they do it. So for me, it's just, if we can find common ground between having kids coming together and play every weekend, not just play, but just understand one another through social development skills. There's so much, I don't know if I can mention as much, but honestly, it's just being out there, being around different people every single time, putting yourself out there every single time, and not shy away from the world. Yeah.
That's true. So with a lot of these that are put in place for our participants, but we need to look at those that actually drive the movement, so that our kids can be put into these places. So basically, how am I hitting with this question? Is that what role? We know there are roles that us as coaches and mentors need to play. So what role do coaches and mentors need to play in shaping the lives of young basketball players from the township?
As a coach, you're not just a coach, you end up being, what I can just say, a semi-parent. You are a motivator, and it's always about trying to teach a kid to understand what's right from wrong, which is that's not easy, some kids are just struggling at home, by communication between the parent and the kid. So you have to be that middle parent, where if a kid comes to you and tells you, this is what's going on in my life, you're not going to be there to judge the kid.
Yeah.
You're going to be there to understand, and how he or she would actually need help. So it's for me, I'm not just a coach. Sometimes I'm a dad. Sometimes I'm a best friend. Sometimes I need to be a good listener. So it's so many things at once. And then when you have a kid that's comfortable to tell you about their life stories or what's happening at home, that's when you know you've actually found the common ground between you and the kid. So it's basically that.
I like how you touched on the fact that as a coach, as a mentor, you become a semi-parent, you become a motivator. So, are there any specific challenges? Because you've been coaching, you've experience in coaching, you've coached different caliber of participants from the township to affluent schools, but just more of where we come from, because we're not going to shy away from where we come from. What are the specific challenges faced by youth in townships, and especially when trying to access basketball opportunities?
I think it's mostly when kids are told that they're not good enough. I think that breaks a kid. And when you introduce kids to other township or to other areas, or and then they look at other kids and then he has that sneaker, I don't have that. Well, what do you do in that kind of situation? As a coach, it's very difficult. And as I said, being a motivator, you're not just being a motivator because you just need to motivate the kid and you think that it's going to be that easy. You have to take steps. You have to understand the kid's attitude. You have to understand where he comes from. There's so much I can touch on, but sometimes I like to explain things physically. But honestly, I can't say much. But it's not the easiest thing to do. I've struggled with it. When you coach a kid, you're not just coaching just basketball. You're trying to find the deeper side of him, and bring up the best spark. So it's basically that. Yeah.
That's basically that. So just a huge high five, I guess, that on our coaches and mentors out there trying to push with participants in the different sports codes. We do see you, we do appreciate you, because just hearing from Mr. Mfanafuti, you get to understand that it's not easy being a coach. It's not easy being that one person. It's challenging, but we always push through. Speaking about our participants, speaking about our coach, so here is a short clip of what's been happening in our Peace League before we move on to our next segment. So we have Peace League games that one here at PeacePlayers, where we have cross-community games where kids from Mulweni travel to Malazi, kids from Malazi travel to the city, all in the name of having a fun game of basketball and also building meaningful friendships, finding new ideas, and also changing this perspective. Check out this next video. See you.
Salut mon vieux, tu me reconnais?
Bafethu ngibambiloso zobe ngiphethe ikhombo drip iskorobo zobe ngiconsa qoqo sengicije ukudlula umkodo nale bese ilikhomba ipolo hayi yashifomo cela ningithathe ifoto bafethu ngibambiloso zobe ngiphethe ikhombo drip iskorobo zobe ngiconsa qoqo sengicije ukudlula umkodo nale bese ilikhomba ipolo hayi yashifomo cela ningithathe ifoto.
Turning up all night, it's a vibe, alright. Do what you gon' like, sip go deal with pride. Live my life on God, yeah. Turning up all night, it's a vibe, alright. Do what you gon' like, sip go deal with pride. Live my life on God.
Yeah, my car is really aim. I'm blessed, I'm on the way. Don't text me, I'm okay. My homies penetrate. I put no flex, I was a shorty. I put a leg on Nick, I'm blowing. You think you can reach me when I'm boiling? I'm in love with the clock, like Danny Rosen. I break a hand, I feel my handling. I rhyme the flows, no explanation. This is a day before wishing. When I'm chasing the vibe, I through the session. I ring the brand, no motivation. Nigga, I'm strong with the chemical mention. When I'm turning to lean, I'm making waves. When I'm on the pitch, I'm flying high. Piloto, zoben peti combo. Drip is corrupt. Zoben contact.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope and I know you enjoyed that video. Since we've already touched on leagues, so our next segment we're focusing more on integrity development leagues and just getting an understanding, because we have the man himself here. So Guava, welcome back. I know that was a fun break. That was an exciting video. So now we spoke about growing or developing basketball within our township, within our community. We spoke about bridging the gap between affluent schools and our township schools. We spoke about challenges. We highlighted the roles that coaches need to play. So moving on to our next segment. What are the long-term goals for Etegwini Development Leagues? And maybe we can talk about how does it aim to impact youth basketball within our region.
Okay. So the long-term goal for the Etegwini Development League is actually spreading it across not just Etegwini but the closest districts as well as Gobindlovu and maybe Newcastle. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give every player an opportunity to actually embrace the sport. It's been a high growing sport for years now, but I think we're just not getting a few things right. So the long term goal is to make sure that it's not just Etegwini now. It's KZN basketball. Where I can just make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to actually learn the sport the right way. Because I've seen a lot of coaches from different districts. Why are they struggling? Because they're not teaching the kids the right way of doing things, the structure, the fundamentals. But so I just want to be that helping hand to make sure that I'm not just doing things for Etegwini, but I'm doing things for everyone. So that's the long term goal, is to just spread the game, just not for Etegwini, but just for everyone as well.
I like how we already touched on the part that this aims to expand and to grow basketball, not just for Etegwini, but for the entire region, for the entire KZN. So how does the league structure and format support to support the development of young players? So what structures are put in place, or what form of support are put in place in order to support the development of young players?
So what we are doing now is we're trying to get every district involved. So when I say district, it's your Umlazi, your Mbongolo, your Molweni. I'm trying to get everyone involved, and I'm trying to create something that's going to work for us. When we put a team together that's going to represent us, maybe for certain games that happen, maybe it's Salva games. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm not trying to leave anyone out. So what I'm doing is I'm getting everyone to come every Sunday and play. And from there, I know there's a lot of coaches there's coaching affairs, there's players affairs who are just watching people that are ready to actually be part of something that's bigger than just Etegwini games. They're just development games. So we are watching a kid from under 13. We are watching a kid from under 16, under 18. So whenever there's KZN games or provincial games, whenever there's SA games or whatever, if they want players, we know that we have a kid that's 13, that's from Umlazi or that's from Durban North, who's doing extremely good. So we make sure that we set that tone to make sure that kid is part of that. So yeah.
That's great. I like how the plan's already put in place. So when you go for these games, don't just go because you play. Push, give it your best. You never know who's watching and you never know who's seeing you. So are there any plans to partner or collaborate? Because this is a big plan. It's a big structure that you've put in place. It's something huge. So is there any plan to partner or to collaborate with other basketball programs, other organizations, to enhance the impact of the league?
Yeah, definitely. I get calls all the time from a lot of people that actually want to be part of this. I definitely know that I spoke to Sfiso Mtembu, who was part of the program, the PeacePlayers program before, and we wanted to do something that's going to collaborate between Etegwini and PeacePlayers. I know there's a guy called Madondo, which is also part of the junior NBA. He's also was so keen. If we can get Etegwini, PeacePlayers, and NBA, junior NBA going, we can actually do something. But to be quite honest, a lot of people are so stubborn. And there's so much negativity going around. And then sometimes when you put your foot forward, some people just don't want to be a part of that. But I'm sure due time, it's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to happen until people actually open their hearts and say, no, we need to help our kids get better. This is not just basketball. It's bigger than basketball. to actually help a kid in sports, and then the kid actually achieves something greater than sports if he goes to a school that can help him achieve his law degree or whatever. We've done our job. We've actually helped out, and I'm not asking for anything in return. You know, so yeah,
it's actually just putting hands together in order to create that platform for that specific child or participant so that they can move from one place, develop to the other. So it's all based on development and support. So I like how we already, this already looks like a form of support. It looks like already something that is set out there so that it doesn't only stay here, but if a child or participant joins this type of league, they get to move from here to there to there. You never know where you can go with all of this. So what kind of support systems are already in place for players to transition? Because I know you've mentioned that this is already one of it. What other support systems are there for players to transition from development league to higher level of competition?
Okay, so speaking of transition, so it's not as easy as you think it is.
As it sounds.
Yeah. So luckily for the Ep3 League, we have the municipality, which is helping us big time in terms of if we need to pay out officials, if we need to get facilities, if we need to get food to provide for the kids, because the kid won't be there for the whole day and not eat.
Yeah.
So they are our biggest actually supporter, and they have actually made the platform so easy for us to actually have these games and to actually give these kids opportunities to just showcase their talents with the induction of the Salvo games every December. So that's basically
it. So moving on to our next segment, in the previous question we did touch on collaboration and partnership. So just wanting to know, let's talk about collaboration and unity in KwaZulu-Natal. So in what ways can basketball programs in KwaZulu-Natal come together to create more cohesive and supportive ecosystem for our youth players?
Firstly, is just have the right people in place. We are not in a position where, because basketball is doing good, and then we can have anyone just hop on because there's a structure. So what really fails us most of the time is people that are not sports minded.
Okay.
But want to be part of these kind of programs, want to be part of the structure. If we can have a good structure going on and we can be on the same page, it becomes way easier, because you'll find that some districts will be like, we just want to focus on ourselves. We just want to get paid for being part of the system. Some people will say, I just want to help these kids. I want to help this township. So we're not in the same path. So that takes away so much.
Yeah.
And we every single time we try to move forward, we keep on going back because not everyone is on the same page. So we need to just start being on the same page and be positive about it. And really want to grow the sport. We try to grow the sport here. So that's actually probably the biggest downfall of basketball, probably in this province, which is something that it actually takes away so much from me that keeps on trying every year to make this world better. And then you find people that are just not.
And they're not 100%. They're not all in for it.
And you can't actually push for someone to be 100%. It's not easy to be around 100, or just not easy having the same core values as someone else. But the mere fact of just trying and understanding and actually having a purpose and sharing the same goals becomes so much easier. Yeah.
That's true. Are there any existing events or initiatives that bring youth basketball programs in KwaZulu-Natal, and how can we expand or replicate it?
Look, I think with the municipality and the soccer games that they have every December, that's good. It helps. It prepares the kid from January, knowing that the kid is training and knowing that the kid is preparing to actually be better just for those games. That's good. I think that PeacePlayers is doing a really good job. You know, I would say when I was part of PeacePlayers, it was way bigger. I think now things are just toned down. I don't know why. You know, and I'm not going to be judgmental about it.
COVID.
But you know, as soon as we start getting the right coaches involved, we start getting the coaches that want to do better and want to grow within the coaching space as well. It becomes much easier. So PeacePlayers is doing extremely well with getting these kids playing every single time. I don't understand if people actually realize how much and how important it is and how difficult sometimes it can be to have kids showing up and playing basketball. Not just playing basketball. You guys are doing life skills. That takes away so much. You teach kids about peer pressure. You teach kids about HIV and AIDS. There's so much to it. So and there can be more. You know, there can be so many sponsors. But do you want to sponsor something that's moving forward, or you want to sponsor a stationary truck? So, there's so much to it, you know, and there's so much growth, and people are not they want to invest in basketball, but they're investing in something that's actually good, that's actually moving. So yeah.
That is the question. Are we investing in something that's actually moving, or are we investing in a stationary bus in Gahamindao that's not moving anywhere? So how can stakeholders, including the government, private sectors, and other community organizations, work together to support youth basketball development in our province? I know you touched on the municipality. How can we have more of them? How can we have more stakeholders coming together in order to work, support, to develop basketball within our province?
Look, if you want to support someone, or if you want to support something, it has to be, I don't know how to put this, but it has to be, you got to be around people that want to do it, that are doing it for the right reasons. You know, end of the day, yes, we do need funding. Funding is money, but are we funding something that for 5 months? Are we funding something that's going to go for year in, year out? You know, but how do we get people to actually buy into it? You know, it's for us. Even if we help, like if it's a tournament, let's put ourselves there. Let's show that we are not just focused on the kids playing, but there's life skills to it. We are focused on coaching development. Who's helping these coaches be better? You know, because sometimes I'm around coaches, and you know, I'm not saying that I'm a great coach, I'm a good coach. I'm still learning as well. But when you listen to another coach and you check what he's doing, that's the same age as you. Like, oh God, what is he teaching these kids? You know, everyone wants to be Steph. You know, but are we doing coaching clinics? Are we doing referee clinics? You know, so people buy into those kind of things, the development, not just what we're trying to do now, but what are we going to get out of it in the next
long term. It's good to hear. I think that last point you touched on it, on a coach's perspective, on a coach's mindset. It was very structured. It was very on point. So before we move on to any additional questions or anything like that, I wanna highlight my guest. So if you don't know, just so you know, fun fact: this is my first male guest. So a huge high five on that. So here are a few clips on who Vanofuti Domela is, also known as Guava, from coaching to playing to being with the kids. See this next video of me. Welcome back. It's us again. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you enjoyed seeing the man on the seat, who he is, and what he has to offer in terms of basketball in KwaZulu-Natal and just throughout the whole world. So as you know, we are in Youth Month. We're not going to forget that. This is Youth Month. Happy Youth Day to all the youth that celebrated youth on June 16. I hope you celebrated it well. I hope you had fun, and I hope you commended the holiday with something significant. not only just for yourself, but for the other youth around. So just touching on youth and youth month, and I'm not going to forget that. Definitely, I'd remember that. How can basketball programs address specific issues? Because, as youth, we face different issues, from peer pressure to drugs to teenage pregnancies. We have a lot of these issues that you have mentioned, that as peace players, we also teach life skills to address certain issues. But how can basketball programs be designed to address these specific issues, such as social issues, whether it be crime prevention, health, education? How can basketball program be designed to address these specific issues?
I think I've mentioned, we actually did talk about this. So, as I just said, it's just not basketball. When if you're a coach or if you're running a certain program, I think Peace Players does actually a great job in having life skills. So with the part of life skills where we sit kids down and we actually do talk to them about crime prevention, about health, peer pressure. I think I wouldn't say much about it, but I think that with the organization, you guys have done a great job with having people coming in and speaking to these kids, making them alert, talking to them about self-awareness. I can't say much about it, but it's more of educating the kids every single time about it. It's not a matter of age. Every single time you need to be reminded, on what's going on around us, and you need to be aware.
Since you've already touched on how it's already happening in the game, do you have any success stories, maybe a story that you'd like to share, or an example of how youth basketball programs are making a positive impact in KwaZulu-Natal?
Okay, for me, I don't think I would be sitting here if it wasn't for basketball. Basketball as a whole, it's not about where I come from. It's not about where I played, or it was just basketball. I've had so much success in basketball, which I think I'm not done yet. This is still just I'm still just hanging on the waves, because every single time when I'm with a coach that I look up to, I make sure I listen. I become a sponge. I try by all means to make sure that I'm on the right path. It's not easy, So I've had a lot of success on the court and off the court as well. So I'm grateful for my coaches, and not just coaches, but my neighbors, my parents, people that have always said that, you're doing something different. You're playing a different sport. That we all know that soccer, netball, takes over so much in our communities and our townships. And I just went in a different direction. Basketball has provided me with a job. So I'm a basketball coach. I'm a sports coach now. Which I'm actually, I feel like I'm not even there yet. I'm still scraping.
You're still a sponge.
So I'm trying by all means to not just be normal. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be a normal coach. I want to be great. And to be great, it's not something that just falls from the sky and just happens for you. It takes time, and there's so much negativity happening around. Try by all means to be positive. That's just basically it.
You've spoken about remaining positive, moving forward, reaching for greater heights, being a sponge. So, we celebrated Youth Month this month. What is your message to the youth? What do you have to say to the youth? What kind of impactful words would you give out to the youth listening or even watching?
There's more to life. There's so much more. And don't be afraid to be out there. I've always heard this quote where they say, but you're not changing your sector. I think it falls something like that. So look past where you are from now. Just look over that now. If you are shooting hoops in a township, in an outdoor township, and your, I don't know how to put this, but your aim should be more than that. Should be on an indoor Europe. You're not just looking at the NBA. Like, first look closely as playing for representing your country, representing your province. You know, just be out there. Don't be afraid to try. Be your best. Sometimes you won't be a 100, but just be your best.
I like that closing statement. What you're not changing, you are accepting. So thank you very much to our guest, Guava. It was a lovely conversation. It was lovely having you on the show. Very insightful. I think this is one of our deep conversations that we've had at PeacePlayers, because it touched on sensitive topics that we need to address within our community. We need to put it out there, and we need to create a platform where people are aware that this is what's happening. And it falls under Youth Month, the best month. So now we know where to touch on, what to do, and where to move. So thank you very much to our special listeners for tuning in to our special episode of Beyond the Court, where we focus on youth basketball in KwaZulu-Natal during our wonderful Youth Month. We're hoping that you've been inspired by the stories, the insight, and the ideas shared by our wonderful guests. As we wrap up this episode, we encourage our listeners to get involved, support local basketball programs, and help create opportunities for young players to strive. And remember, basketball has the power to transform lives and community. Let's work together to unlock the potentials that are in our young youth and build a brighter future for them within the basketball community in KwaZulu-Natal. So join us next time for the Beyond the Court podcast, where we have inspiring conversations and insights from the world of basketball and beyond. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Definitely comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode, what you think, or who you would like us to bring next on the show. From us and my wonderful guest. Yes. Bye.
Beyond the court, sabelana ngolwazi, let's share ideas. Sithi ukudinga idalo tab, sithi story sakho usitshela uqhamuka, introduce yourself.